When you experience trauma, it is very easy to start questioning your inner voice. But why is that? And how can we move from a place of uncertainty to a place of self-love and understanding? There's this Shel Silverstein poem that I learned when I was a kid, and I have subsequently taught my children, and I think it's such a powerful, fun little poem. It's called The Voice, and it goes, "There is a voice inside of you that whispers all day long. I feel that this is right for me. I know that this is wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to that voice that speaks inside." Now, I think that's a beautiful poem and absolutely true. But here's the thing, when you experience trauma, it completely affects your ability to trust yourself and listen to your inner voice. Now, this is a pretty ubiquitous experience for everyone who experiences trauma. So you aren't alone. But why does this happen? Why do we lose our trust in ourselves? Why do we question everything about ourselves? First, let's take a quick moment to talk about how trauma affects the brain and the nervous system. So first off, I'm not giving you a DSM-5 definition of trauma. I'd like to go with something as simple as, when you experience trauma, it means you saw the world one way, something happened, and you no longer feel that your world is safe. A traumatic experience can be big things, such as an accident, physical or sexual assault, or any form of abuse. It can also be little things, such as bullying, an emotionally detached family, social rejection in any form. Here's the thing about trauma. It is not the Olympics of suffering. Just because it could have been worse or someone else's experience was more traumatic than yours does not invalidate your own experience and your needs. Your experiences, emotions, and needs are valid, regardless of anyone else's. So here's the thing. Your body is designed with pre-programmed responses to trauma. The first thing that a person will innately do is reach out to other people for help. And if that doesn't work, if you can't find safety or understanding, you'll move on to the next level of coping, which is to fight, to flee or run away, or to freeze. And I would also add to fawn, meaning to people please or appease others at the sacrifice of your own physical, mental, or emotional well-being. Each one of these responses is a coping mechanism to trauma. It's how your brain and your body was designed to deal with it. So here's the thing. After trauma, the world is experienced with a different nervous system. Your energy now becomes focused on suppressing inner chaos at the expense of involvement in your own life. You do this to maintain some semblance of control over your life, so you can just survive. But what if the focus can change from just surviving to thriving? What would living a peaceful, joyful, fulfilled life look like? What would it feel like? So your inner voice is now influenced by trauma triggers, and your nervous system responds to those trauma triggers. And we go through life having experiences, some that leave a positive impact on us and some that leave a negative impact. We take those experiences and create stories about ourselves, what they mean, and conclusions about what our life experiences say about us. These stories are often not true. We are just trying to make sense out of our experiences and trauma. Often we take responsibility for our mistreatment and internalized trauma, coming to the conclusion, it must be my fault. Or if I had been better or different, this wouldn't have happened. This dynamic creates conflicting beliefs that create a tug of war in our mind and in our heart. Our stories create a conflict between who we really are and how we feel. I like to call these incongruent beliefs. Now, I want to be really sure that there's no confusion about what I'm talking about, so I'm going to get kind of nerdy and give you some definitions. So incongruent beliefs are those beliefs that are unsuitable or inconsistent with who we really are. At a core, unconscious cellular level, you know who you really are. You are an individual of infinite worth, just by being you. The incongruent beliefs that have formed over a lifetime of experiences are at odds with that knowledge. And that's when life becomes a tug of war between what you unconsciously know at a soul level and what you consciously or subconsciously believe about yourself. It takes an intentional journey of coming to an awareness of your false or incongruent beliefs, and then a desire to stay in a place of mindfulness to untangle long-held untrue beliefs that no longer serve you. I'd like to share with you some examples of what this could look like. So here's the thing about brain development. Our brain develops throughout our life into our 20s, and the last part of our brain to develop is the frontal lobe. This is the part of our brain that evaluates and deals with conscious thought and logic. The thing is, that is the last part of our brain to develop. So what happens is the experiences that we have at a young age, specifically before the age of 8 years old, there's no evaluation process. There's no consciously applying logic to it because that part of our brain doesn't exist. We have these experiences, we create meaning or a story around them, we create conclusions about what those experiences say about us, and then those beliefs, so often at a subconscious or unconscious level, then dictate our behavior throughout life, and we get to a place in our 30s or 40s, maybe even our 50s, and we start becoming aware of some of these patterns and beliefs, but we don't even understand where they came from. So often, they were the seeds that were planted in our childhood, in our life experiences, because of the way our brain develops. What could this look like? This could look like growing up in a very loving, supportive home, but maybe experiencing bullying as a child, or any type of social rejection. And here's the thing about emotional pain, such as bullying or social rejection, or being emotionally mistreated. Our brain interprets that emotional pain in the exact same way it interprets physical pain. So just because you weren't beaten or bruised or physically mistreated doesn't mean that it wasn't a type of trauma, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't physically and emotionally affect you, because it absolutely does. So even if you grew up in a loving home, but you experienced social rejection or bullying, you may have created certain beliefs about yourself, like you are unwanted, you are unloved, you are not worthy of love, you aren't worthy of social acceptance, or that you have to change and be different than who you really are to find acceptance. Those are all incongruent beliefs, because it is incongruent with who you actually are, which is an individual of infinite worth, just by the fact that you are human. Every human is valuable and worthy of love and acceptance, just as they are. What happens is you have these two sets of beliefs that are at odds with each other, and it creates a tug of war in your mind, your body, and in your heart between who you really are, a divine being of infinite worth, and what you believe you are worthy of. Let's talk about a different scenario. Maybe you didn't grow up in such a loving home, and everything had to be earned. Every kind word or approval or acceptance had to be earned through your accomplishments, whether it was academic, physical, or anything of that nature. There was the long-held generational belief that you had to earn your worth, which is completely untrue. All of us, by nature of being human, are valuable, lovable, and worthy of love and acceptance. But we have had these experiences with people, important people in our life, such as parents, teachers, and caregivers, that tell us something that is not true. This untruth comes from their own life experiences and their own trauma, but it is their mistreatment that tells us that we are not worthy of love, that we are not worthy of social acceptance. And so if you grew up in an environment where you had to earn your worth, you will have an incongruent belief that you are not innately worthy of love and that you have to earn it. These same basic principles can be applied to dozens and hundreds of different details and individual stories. The important thing is to start with becoming aware that these incongruent beliefs are even there. That is a personal journey of awareness that each of us has to go on. What untrue or false beliefs have you accepted about yourself and about your life? It's the stories that we tell ourselves about our experiences that give us meaning. And sometimes our stories aren't true. Sometimes we need to change our stories, but we don't even realize we're telling ourselves a story, and we don't realize that we're creating a life and a reality that reinforces those stories. And then those stories conflict with the truth of who we really are and who we really can become. So often we feel that it isn't safe to be who we really are, so we change, reject a part of ourselves, and try to pretend that we are whole. That's when we start undermining and questioning our inner voice, unable to trust ourselves. I could talk for hours on this subject, and there's way too much to cover in just a single YouTube video, but I want to give you 3 easy, quick suggestions to support you on your journey. Number 1, start asking yourself questions around the stories you have told yourself, around the experiences that you've had. Start questioning the conclusions and the meaning you've given your experiences. Are the beliefs that have been born out of your life experiences even true? Number 2, when a trauma trigger comes up for you, journal about the beliefs and feelings you are experiencing. Ask yourself the questions I just gave. Number 3, try a meditation on awareness or self-acceptance or on listening to your inner voice. And if you would like support with this healing journey, overcoming incongruent beliefs, and loving and listening to yourself, we actually have a program called Innate Healing that walks you through that process. If that's something you're interested in, there's a link below. You can schedule a free 15-minute call with one of our therapists to see if that is a good fit for you. Thank you for sharing a few moments of your day with me. I have a question for you. What challenges have you experienced when it comes to listening to your inner voice? How have you overcome them? Does the idea of incongruent or false beliefs resonate with you? What does that look like in your life? Please share your experiences, your challenges, and your successes with us below. I would love to hear about them, and it supports all of us in this healing community. And remember to keep shining. We need your light. If you like this video, I have another one for you. What to do when you have a high sex drive and your partner doesn't. Wah, wah.